tourism truly does matter. We get figures every year from the state that's actually conducted the U.S. Travel Association. They show that $2.2 billion in travel expenditures are spent just right here direct in Dallas counties. We also did some calculating on that. If you took all the taxes that are generated by the tourism industry itself, for $121 million in state taxes and $35 million in local taxes, each household in our metro would pay an additional $661 property tax without those tourism tax dollars flowing. It's pretty significant. I think you're aware that most of our funding comes through hotel motel tax. People decide to travel, they hop in the car, they travel to the Point Metro, they spend money on shopping, entertainment, eating, etc. They spend the night in a hotel, assuming they pay $100 for the hotel bill. Check out an additional $7 of hotel tax for that room. The hotel then writes the check to the state of Iowa. The state of Iowa then writes the check back to the cities. The cities then distribute that. We receive 2/7 of that, about 28%, as well as Bravo, and the other 3/7 stay the city, Polk City. We've also increased our private sector segment of our budget to we're about 10% now of our budget is from private sector. We have 957 partners. We have a retention rate of over 98% of those partners staying with us year to year. And about a year and a half ago, we started a corporate investment campaign that was really by the encouragement of our board of directors. And this is where we've reached out to some of the larger employers in the community and asked them to make a larger investment in us for what we do for quality of life, for their retention of employees, etc. And we've had a really good outcome to that cause. You see some of the now corporate investors that we have there, and they're committing now for 3-year contracts with us and contribute anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 a year for additional marketing dollars for our budget. Our 5-year inventory of both hotel rooms and our hotel motel tax growth, you see by this chart. We've grown by over 3,000 rooms in the last 6 years. Pretty incredible growth. By the end of this next fiscal year of 2020, we'll be close to 14,000 rooms in the metro area. Still a somewhat good amount of growth out there in the hotel business. Quite a bit still in Altoona, Ankeny, Urbandale's had a couple new projects. West Des Moines has several projects as well. I think within the city of Des Moines, with the Hilton coming on board here a year ago, things have kind of leveled out, slowed down in that part. Just a little budget comparison. We went back to our CPA this past year that does our annual audit and asked them to break down what we spend on actual program expenses compared to management expenses, and proud to share these numbers with you as well. As you can see, last fiscal year of 17-18, our management expenses were about $500,000, where our program expenses were nearly $5 million. It's a pretty good ratio there as far as running the organization. We also, the board, a year or so ago, created a reserve and investment policy. We never really had a reserve fund policy. We reached out to a lot of the cities in the metro to find out what they're doing and other not-for-profit organizations. We now have 22% of our overall budget in reserve account. 17% of that is for a true reserve fund in case the economy just fell through the roof and we needed incomes to operate. Got 17% there. And then we have 5% what we call our future bid incentive fund. That's for an emergency deal. We used it last year when USA Track and Field contacted us and said, hey, we can't go back to Eugene, Oregon. Can we come to Des Moines? We said, of course you can. We had to come up with $50,000. Boom, as a incentive fee for them. So those are the kinds of things for that. Doing a 5-year ROI, return on investment. In the last 5 years, we've brought in roughly $25 million hotel tax to our budget. We've created over 1,300 bookings during that time period. and created an economic impact of over $500 million in the metro area. So it breaks down to, essentially, we have a 20-to-1 ROI for your tax dollars. Quick review from last year, and this is almost old news because we're almost coming up to our year-end fiscal year 18-19. But last year we serviced and resourced 715 different conventions and sporting events for the metro area. 296 of those actually fell into last year that we were responsible for the actual booking of those events, which created an impact of over $78 million. And then another 302 future book events were booked during that fiscal year, so essentially for 19, 20, 21. The second year created another $110 million in that. We also like to share with you our competitive analysis out there, just to let you know that we're not out of line by any means by the number of staff we have or our budget or et cetera. You see we compare ourselves to Omaha, Madison, Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Kansas City, and Louisville. You see their budget beneath the budget column, number of hotel rooms they represent, their hotel motel tax, how much of that top tax they do receive, the number of employees.
You have more hotel rooms than Omaha does?
We do, because the Omaha CBD is strictly a city department, so they don't really represent the city. Omaha Metro, I'm sure, has a couple thousand. We're also kind of exciting plan. We're working on a destination master plan right now. We hired a company earlier this year called JLL, Jones, Lang, and LaSalle. You may be familiar with them. They're primarily known in our area for commercial real estate. But they have a huge tourism division out there too. And we've hired them to do a massive study, and they're underway doing this right now. They've set up focus groups. We have a steering committee. They're talking private sector to all the way to outside visitors who have potential to visit Des Moines, and really doing a full analysis on who we are, what we're going to look like in the future. And they're analyzing sports complexes. Do we need more soccer fields, baseball fields, complexes? Do we need bigger convention space? Do we need hotel rooms? Just everything that we kind of touch to really show us what's our plan for 5 to 10 years down the road. Is water trails going to be the big thing? What is really our growth to continue to grow the tourism industry? So we're really excited about that. They're about halfway through the process right now. We hope to have it report by early this fall and back then to share it all. It's going to be exciting stuff. Some of the upcoming events you got this year, of course, you got the Principal Charity Classic coming up in a couple weeks. USA Track and Field Championships are coming back to Drake in July. We're also hosting the Bio World Congress this year, which is not a really huge event. It's about 500 people, but it's a real coup that Iowa's got that, worked hard to obtain that point. It could help there have some benefits to the, I just went blank, corridor, I'm talking about the ag corridor from the Ames, and enticing some new companies to come in for that.
Capital Crossroads. Conservation Board.
What's the word?
Conservation Corridor.
Conservation?
No.
It'll come to me.
I know what you're saying.
Car We're also hosting the General Assembly's Christian Church Disciples of Christ, which is an interesting convention. It's going to have about 5,000 people. That convention we hosted in 1985 when our convention center downtown first opened. Now it's the YMCA. We've tried to bring them back since then. They haven't been back since '85, so they're coming back in July as well. USA Gymnastics, we're hosting one of their championship events at Wells Fargo in July. And one of the biggies we just booked in the last few months is the World Championship Chili. That's actually going to be up in Ankeny at their new district area. So it's going to be kind of a neat, fun event. It's a huge undertaking. Brooks Reynolds, we kind of semi-indoctrinated him. He's the bacon boy. He's going to kind of charge. on that with the owner. So excited about that. Some stuff in the works. You probably read we're a front runner for the Ironman, which would be actually for next year. Just got an email again this afternoon that they're conducting the rest of their site visits this week. We've already done our site visits, 2 different site visits, competing against Memphis, Fayetteville, and Tulsa on that. We feel really, really good about our bid. We've done those triathlons, high-V triathlons in the past. People get the Ironman thing here and be a tremendous, tremendous event for the Metro. So
I talked to somebody last week who was talking about that, but is it true that they're sending a different representative to each community to
They
review
do.
it? Right. Well, it's kind of interesting.
it's kind of weird. Yeah. They all have a report card they fill out. Hopefully our guy's a better salesperson than the other people going to those other cities.
But you're feeling good about it.
We do, yeah. You know, one thing that we learned from the guy, the first person that came in was a lady out of Tampa. She's the executive VP of Global Summit. And she came in just to get a feel for the city, get a feel for us and other team players that are responsible, a little bit about the course. And then the guy they sent in a couple weeks ago was really the operations guy, who's based out of Colorado. And he actually looked at the course. He went for a run with Trina. Luckily, I have somebody on my staff that runs because obviously I'm a gymnast. So they went out for a nice run one morning. And he told us that at the breakfast meeting we had with him. But one of the things they do is they look at all the social media that's happening around the cities they're looking at. We were 80% of the social media chatter out there about Ironman, and it continues. So.
I also heard they were happy because they were able to meet with local officials all together rather than needing to go to separate.
They were, yeah.
So, and good thing for us.
Yeah.
West
Yeah,
Des Moines,
so
and West
you
Des
can
Moines, and
imagine.
Des Moines, I guess,
Yeah.
together. You know.
Yeah, it takes so much. Fire, police, I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's got to come together, shut down the streets. And,
Will it be a similar course to the High-V then? Is that?
well, somewhat, but it'll be, Ironman's 2.5 mile swim, 112-mile bike. So they would actually bike from Gray's Lake, clear out probably to Winterset, and then circle back in through West Des Moines and downtown. And then they'd run probably a similar trek to the Des Moines Marathon.
How hard is it? It's a full marathon.
That's a
full marathon run.
26.2. So start gearing up for that. I know I will be.
Yeah.
And you can see some of the other stuff we're working on. And actually, this weekend, they come in Wednesday, we are hosting the NAACP Board of Directors. That's another convention we've been chasing the last couple of years. Takes a lot of corporate support to bring that in. But they finally said, hey, we'll bring the board in. They've never really been to a city the size of bigger cities, but they're willing to come in and take a hard look at us, and we're hopeful on it as well. That, my friends, I will be quiet and take any questions or comments.
No quilting expo coming up? Or?
The quilters, they're not going back, man. I know, it's discerning.
Head on my calendar. Anybody have anything for?
Do you have any idea how much the county sports complex is added to these things? I know they've hosted some big soccer tournaments, some other big tournaments, and this past year there was a youth basketball tournament in Des Moines with 300 teams, I was told.
Yeah.
At different age groups.
County complexes added a lot.
I bet.
In fact, I don't know if you're aware that the city's now doing another study to see do they need to add soccer fields. In the soccer business, we're running into, so county has 12 fields, but there's, probably 20 cities out there now that have these complexes with 22, 26 fields. We, which we've hosted in the past, the USA Youth Soccer regional tournaments, they need 22 fields. And in the past, they've used county and then West Des Moines fields. And it was fine because we're convenient enough. As you all know, you're 20 minutes from anywhere. But this time around, they said, sorry, we're going to, I don't remember where they chose, St. Louis maybe. But Overland Park, St. Louis, Rockford, there's a place in Ohio, Texas, they all have them. So
Those those youth sporting events are just huge.
Oh, they are, yeah.
So obviously, other than the NCAA basketball tournament, what else has the Hilton downtown been able to attract that you wouldn't have been able to get otherwise?
We have now booked 28 new pieces of business because of Hilton. One of them is the Disciples of Christ. Another one is PEO International. You're familiar with them. That's a Christian ladies organization that's headquartered actually in Des Moines. Celebrating their 150th year this year. They've gone from, in fact, they were just in last week, and they're now going to have to utilize Wells Fargo Arena for their general sessions because they're going to have close to 10,000 ladies in town. So,
And then
some good stuff. Yeah.
I also was talking last week too, but so your next go around on the basketball tournament is
It'll be this actually late this summer, and we will be bidding on 23. Will be here the first time we get it back.
great. Anything else from Mr. Edwards?
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the partnership.
You
Appreciate
bet, appreciate it. Next up, we've got another presentation tonight. I assume you're going to have fancy graphics too, won't you?
That's a tough presentation.
Yeah,
You know, I followed Mr. Edwards last year, and
I think I followed you.
Yeah,
okay,
no.
it's a tough.
I was just more.
Because I always like to hear your hemp update.
I was just more.
By the way, the governor signed that bill.
I heard about that on the news.
I was just more interested if you had a PowerPoint because I know you're skilled at PowerPoint.
I'm a tree planter. I'm not
Okay.
really so tech savvy as all that.
All right, darn it anyway. Well, so next up is our Tree City USA annual presentation. Annual presentation.
And the annual presentation is because we got it again. Let's just start with anybody want to take a stab at how many years Tree City USA?
Is there a prize up? Do we get a prize?
How many years have we been Tree City USA?
28.
No.
25.
34.
Oh, come on, David. I thought you were going to get it right.
32.
No.
Yes, every year.
The flag out front says 25 years. That means this year is 26. Now, the good news and the bad news is nobody guessed the right answer, and the double bad news is due to budget cuts, they've taken away hats, and so we don't have a hat this year.
So I got the last hat last year.
There are no. They said maybe every other year that budget cuts. So
Darn budget comeback.
I don't have freebies for you, so that was always.
I'm out of here.
That was
Greg came for the hat. Greg.
My name's Ken Morris. I'm the Polk City Tree Guy. I am the chairperson of Polk City Arbor League, chairperson of Polk City Tree Board. We again got our Tree City USA awards. We attended the luncheon on April the 3rd, Urban and Community Forestry Awards luncheon. This year the program was Trees Are for the Birds. And so we learned all about the benefits of trees and animals, and so I preach all that stuff to kids. Communities, Tree City USA, and Iowa. Anybody want to guess how many communities in Iowa are Tree City USA? Number?
6.
Bigger than that. 83. I'll save you the grief. 83.
Small number.
That's still a small in the number of communities in Iowa.
Oh, okay.
That's a small
Well, you
number.
said
Okay,
small number.
83 communities in Iowa are Tree City USA. Polk City is one of them, 26 years. Polk City has gotten a growth award again. We've gotten a growth award 24 years out of 26, and this year only 16 communities in Iowa got the growth award, and typically only about a dozen or 20 get the growth award. There's been some real creative grant writing, paperwork on that, but I've gotten that 24 out of 26 years. For the let's see here. Oh, just real quick, anybody know what that is?
Emerald Ash Board.
Emerald Ash Borer, you're right, no prizes. I've been continuing to attend conferences on the Emerald Ash Borer. It is in Polk County. Thinking about this before I came down here. Just as a reminder, again, I do tree work in town. I'm retired, right now, passed. But for anybody who has ash trees, really seriously, the time is yesterday. You either need to get them treated or budget for removal because we're at that point in time. Trees are going to all die, and if you've got ash trees on your lot, you need to think about whether you want to spend money this way or that way. No in between. Here is the certificate for the growth award. I'll give that to City Hall. I will take care of putting all of our stickers up. 26 years, David. I can't believe
Remember.
Hey, slacking.
Here is the, and I'll take care of the stickers, 24 years on our growth award. Here's the plaque for the growth award, the little plaque that's in the back, it's been there for years. Oh, and there's one more thing in that back, tricks. The other
It's a hat.
plaque for
Oh, dang
the
it.
other little plaque for the other plaque.
It's an emerald dashboard. Is that what you said? Jeez.
No, I don't get
Too soon.
Well, just too soon. Too soon. Yeah.
The flag goes to Mike, you know, the team on that. And
One day Mike's gonna retire, then we're not gonna.
also, I got a complimentary Iowa DNR invasive species guide. I'm getting that from Public Works as well.
Keep that in your truck.
The Arbor League continues to maintain all the trees that we've planted over the last 26 years. As a reminder, the very first planting that the Arbor League did was the ash trees at the sports complex, and the Arbor League has planted virtually every tree, the sports complex, Kiwanis Park, Leonard Park, Linear Park, and other places around town. So over the 26 years, the Arbor League has planted a whole lot of trees. We need to maintain them at virtually $0 cost to the city. That's all I've got.
Before you leave, explain to us what we do to earn the growth award.
Yeah, I will. The growth award, let me just tell you real quick here.
I think it's important that the public hears.
Yeah, so I was gonna bring that, while you're looking, Ken, every time there's a new development in town, I inevitably get a snarky comment or two about, they see a development come in and then they kind of laugh at the, not laugh, I shouldn't say it like that, but they make a comment about Tree City USA, and I ask, do they know what goes into it? And I don't know all of it, but I know enough that it's a hell of a lot of work by you and Bill. And
It is. The growth award, going back to that, there's 4 categories of eligibility, which include education, partnerships, tree planting and maintenance, and planning and management. And the Arbor League, because of the things we do with tree planting and maintenance, planning and management, our partnerships, education programs, we're always, there's numerous things under each of those categories that we can score a few points for. We have to have 15 points to get the growth award. I go through all that stuff real carefully to try to find a way to come up with 15 points. The growth award is really nothing more than a feather in our cap. You know, the Tree City USA is the big deal. We go to the little extra effort to get that growth award. It just looks good. And regarding, you know, new developments and so forth, I've got thick skin and broad shoulders, and I'll take anybody that wants to talk about that, and we can talk about it. But I always start off with, unless you've been here for 200 years, back up. Before this town was here, there was trees. Before City Hall was here, the school, and every road, and every house in this community, there were trees. They removed trees from my house, your house, and everybody else's house. It's up to us to replant. Now, the only option to not remove the trees is not have a community. That's just not going to happen, you know, and you know, people come to town and they say, well, I moved here because it's a small town and I want the growth to stop now. That's not going to happen. We had that conversation years ago down here about the future of the community. It's going to grow or it's going to die. It is not going to stay the same. Nothing stays the same. And so it's important that we replant the trees. But a lot of the trees that have been taken out in town, around town, in the last several years, you know, the clearing of the ground up by the sports complex, it's all junk trees. You know, as a tree guy, there's a difference between good trees and bad trees. And, you know, take out the bad and replant the good. I mean, you can have a yard full of dandelions, you can have a yard full of wildflowers, you have nice grass. But, you know, there's good and bad, and anybody that wants to talk about cutting down trees and Tree City USA, I'd be more than happy to field that conversation. And I'd be happy to take their volunteer efforts if they want to get involved and help out, too. And typically they don't. That's where the conversation stops.
I was
Well, I
just going
can't
to
help out.
ask if you need volunteers and or monetary support. That
Yeah,
could be
you know, I'm all
directed
about
your
that.
way,
But
yeah.
typically when it comes to that, it's like, well, no, I just want to complain. I don't want to do anything. I can help. It's the growth.
Well, I thank you for explaining that, and I just thought the people deserve to hear that we aren't just, right, of course, we aren't taking any trees out. on our
Oh, he
own.
is. I'm just kidding.
I replant a lot, too.
Just kidding.
Yeah, we are planting them. As a city, as you as a representative of the city, you're putting trees in, you're not taking trees out.
And how much cost to the city?
So far, about zero.
That's what I was
You know, and it's hugely important for every homeowner to know. On a typical residential lot, they may have taken out 10 or 12 trees.
Mhm.
Well, the contractor puts in 2, you're still 10 down, 8 or 10 down. That's up to the homeowner to do that. They're the ones that took the trees down. Ultimately, you're the one that pays for the lot and had the trees removed. You to replace them. Tell for when we talk to the kids, we take away a whole lot of habitat. When I moved up on West Side Drive, March 1 to 77, it was years before we had a bird because we didn't have any trees. Years later, we finally get squirrels and rabbits. At first, we thought that was great. Well, later it did not so great. But without the trees, there's no wildlife. So I talk to the kids about that every time we plant. We did that again on Arbor Day and planted 2 trees on Arbor Day, one at the school, one at K Park. And it's important that we replant it. I feel like I'm a tree advocate, and I'm the guy that comes around here and says plant trees, and obviously cutting trees down is part of the program. It's a cycle.
You and I have had this discussion before, and we adopted a new tree ordinance 2 years ago. Is that a plus?
You bet it was. You bet it was.
And you and I, we talked about we're maybe 20 years too late, but we finally did it.
Better now than 20 years later. The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. Better today than a week from now. And it's the same thing with the ordinance. It was very beneficial and helps out. Would I like it to cover more? Yes. But is it a step in the right direction? Absolutely. We need to do the best we can to protect the trees that we've got. And there have been places in town that, over the past years, we maybe could have, should have done a better job. I'm not into looking back. What can we do in the future?
Well, thank you for your presentation, and thank you for all the work your organizations do. And
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to volunteer for the city.
So a quick, because I don't get a chance to tell him what a good job he does publicly that often, so I'm going to seize the moment. But anyway, so a quick history lesson. Before we got to 26 years ago, I happened to be around when long before there was a tree board, and long before there was a Kiwanis Park, and long before there was trees in the ball field and sports complex. And, there's people in the community that want to complain about what we aren't doing and want to complain about how difficult it is to get things done at City Hall and how difficult it is, the process. I would remind them that the tree board is a prime example. Ron was here when you started coming to council meetings because there was an issue that you were passionate about, and it didn't happen overnight. You didn't get what you wanted overnight. It took several years of coming, being active, getting involved, volunteering your time. And although you like to point fingers back at the tree board, every single one of those trees that's been planted has had your hand on.
Absolutely.
And so without your involvement and getting involved at the grassroots level, we wouldn't have the plantings in town that we have. We wouldn't have had the tree ordinance that was put in place because of you getting involved. And go take a drive up West Side Drive, Sunset, Bel-Air, Crestmore, Linville. All of those streets that back in the late 70s, early 80s did not have any trees. Now go look at all the trees that are on the parking. And although it took several years to grow them, those areas look better now than they did 50 years ago when they were there with overgrown trees. So if you look at the new developments that have come to town, as we continue to have developers come in and take out trees, as we continue to put in trees and we look ahead 20, 30 years, everybody wants instant gratification now. I get that. But as we look ahead 20, 30 years from now, this community will look, quite honestly, better than it did in some of those areas that had those overgrown trees that were along fence rows and old fields, and overgrown trees in areas that just had trees that just randomly started growing, or somebody threw seeds down or what have you. So because I've had those letters from young kids who say to me, well, if your goal is to destroy the city, you're doing a good job at it. Now, I don't believe that that's what we should be, teaching our youth, because I think that by you going up and going to those school days once a year, a couple times a year, I think that you're teaching them the value of planting those trees. I appreciate you doing that. I know my kids have personally benefited from it, and I think everybody who's got kids up here has had benefit from you going and taking your time and volunteering countless hours to this community, and in turn, because you encouraged volunteerism, I'm doing the same thing. So thank you for that.
I have one last question before you leave.
Yes.
Will you ever quit being the tree guy and become the rock guy?
I've got
You're balancing both, huh?
I've got dual hats going on. I'm seriously. appreciate your support, and again, looking back on that deal, years ago, when I used to come to City Hall, I was not well received. Ron remembers that, but you can turn a bad thing into a good thing, you know, through work and cooperation, and you know, just persistence, and it has been a good thing. It's been good for the community, it's been good for me personally, and it's good for the kids. I tell these kids I'm planting trees for kids all never.
And that didn't happen overnight either. I mean, you started coming to those meetings, and that did not happen overnight.
And you did a very good job, have done, or still doing a very good job educating the kids. Sometimes you have to educate the old.
I'm working on it.
So real quick on the Emerald Ash Borer,
Yes.
because I know several years ago we did a study or something to see where we're at, what we had. So what is the city's position at this point in time, Mike? Do we have more that needs to come out? Are we still just treating the ones that we know of and?
Treating the ones that we wanted to keep, we
Okay.
established them, or you guys actually established the ones you wanted to keep. They're being dealt with, they're treated. The others are just healthy trees that we're just gonna roll the dice on. But yeah, we took out 40 or 50% of our ash trees
Quite a bunch of them.
3 years
Yeah,
ago, 4 years
yep,
ago.
yep.
Yeah,
And
so
we
we're in good-
replanted
we're-
back in place too. And
We're in good shape.
We're in good shape. As far as city ground goes, we're in good shape. Good shape. Big problem is residential. There are tremendous numbers of ash trees in this town that are not trees that are going to be a real problem.
And how do we get word out to those people? I mean, it's been in the, I mean, you gotta be living under a rock to not know about it, you know, but.
Well, maybe a better question, are they more competent in the treatments now? I know when you first started coming, it was, we didn't know yet, right? And
Yeah, the injection treatment is very effective, but it is an every 2-year thing. You have to look at small trees and go, you can remove them now for a couple of $100, and over the lifetime, it's going to cost thousands for trees. It's better. If you've got a big stately ash tree, it's worth saving. We've still got some small ones around to take out as time goes by.
I think the area that's going to be noticed the most, and that just comes from a couple different meetings, but is around Saylorville Lake.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of ash trees that are in and around the lake, or that that every fall it's going to progressively get more notice.
At these conferences, I've seen numerous pictures of the streets that were tree lined, and a year later they're gone. Forest areas, you know, public areas that were, you know, full of, you know, nice big mature trees that are gone. And we haven't really seen it in Iowa yet, but we will. Next few years, it's going to get bad. There's going to be a lot of trees dying, and you know, the ones out in the woods, they're not going to do anything with it. It's just we're going to have a whole lot less greenery.
But we will when Jim's department's out there having to take care of them because a lot of
Have
firewood
to
up
dig
there.
and burn them, yeah. Thank you all for your support. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next item on the agenda is public comments. It's time and place for comments for any item other than those in a public hearing. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Hearing none or seeing none, moving on to item 6, I guess, consent agenda. Take a motion.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Walters,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Dvorak,
Yes.
Vogel.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is new or business items. I'm sorry, we had a little format change. Rolling right through. Item A, Resolution 2019-34, approving Snyder and Associates March 2019 invoice in the amount of $25,735.05. Take a motion.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Dvorak,
Yes.
Vogel, Walters.
Abstain. Motion carries. Item B, Big Creek Valley Plat 1. Item 1, Resolution 2019-40, accepting off-site easement needed for BCV. Is here Kathleen?
Yeah, those easements, as you know, Big Creek Valley is virtually surrounded by TCI golf course. And in order to construct the public utilities associated with that, and particularly in the what I'll call the neck area where it narrows down to a 60-foot wide strip that connects from Hug Drive south, there was a need to get some additional easements from TCI golf course. That was a requirement that the developer had to obtain those. So what we're doing is asking those easements be accepted prior to construction so that the developer can actually do the construction on property that he doesn't own. So there are some temporary construction easements as well, but those are between the developer and TCI, so we did require that they get them so that they could grade on the property. Those don't require any acceptance on the city's part. That's really a private agreement between the golf course and the developer, so that the developer restores constructs what he needs to construct and restores it to the golf course's requirements. So,
And real quick, before we ask for any questions, Jenny, you heard from Jared, and you know Jared is here for everything. So what did he say?
He had a last minute conflict come up with his kid's soccer, so he was very sorry he wasn't going to make it, but he wanted to make sure that it would negatively impact him not being here.
Jared's here all the time, so I just thought it was worth noting that he wanted to be. Any questions for Kathleen? I would take a motion on resolution 2019-40, please.
Motion to approve resolution 2019.
Second?
Roll call.
Vogel,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarchet, DeVore.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, resolution 2019-39, approving construction drawings for public improvements.
yeah, these are the full-blown construction drawings, so this includes pavement, storm sewer, and sanitary sewer and water for this development for Plat 1 in this development, which is kind of the north and east side of the subdivision. These plans will kind of amend and restate the sanitary sewer and water main plans that you approved last time, so that it's one complete set of drawings.
Get the cluster mailbox figured out.
Yeah, what they have for the mailboxes is there's two separate locations. One that has a single mailbox that's near where the cart path crosses, and the other is a dual mailbox that is down by that first cul-de-sac. It's on the side of a lot line, so it won't be in the front yard. It'll actually be on the street side, but on the side of the lot.
Jared was good for that.
The developer is constructing from the mailbox cluster down the stretch from the mailbox pad to the closest ADA ramp. So the mailboxes will be handicap accessible right from the get-go. So that is a plat improvement, which means mail could be delivered just as soon as the post office sets the box, as opposed to sometimes there's a significant delay in order to get that ADA compatibility, waiting for the individual homes to come in. So.
Any other questions? Motion?
So
Second?
Roll call, please.
Vogel,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
DeVore.
Motion carries. Item C, first reading of ordinance 2019-600, amending chapter 25, city administrator, the city manager, and amend all references to city manager instead of city administrator. Don, I'm calling you.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the items 7C and 7D are both related to the change to go to the city manager form of government following the work session. Item 7C specifically at this point changes chapter 25 of the city code to outline the duties and role of a city manager. You can see from the items in the agenda packet, the changes are highlighted. Any deletions in the current ordinance are indicated by a cross-out mark, and any additions are underlined. This has been reviewed by legal counsel and is recommended for approval. In conjunction with the approval, in order to keep the process moving for advertising and the selection process, we would ask the council to consider waiving the second and third reading tonight so that this ordinance can take effect upon publication.
And Amy, we're good with putting all of these in the same way, because I know there was a question a couple weeks ago. So,
Yes.
okay. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, or motion?
motion to approve resolution 2019-600.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sarchet,
Yes.
DeVore,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, optional, as an option here to waive the second and third readings and adopt ordinance 2019-600. Ask for a motion there. So,
Second?
roll call.
Vogel,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
DeVore.
Yes.
Motion carries. Did you have, yeah,
I was just gonna say, now, this doesn't affect how we're doing business today and next week.
motion carries. Thanks.
Then item 7D, as a follow-up to the discussion, is the job advertisement that would be placed for the city manager position. As indicated earlier, there is a change in the wording, in paragraph second last ad from the position paper you had in the agenda pack. I'll read it out loud so that everyone's aware of the change. It reads, preferred qualifications includes master's degree in a related field and 5 to 10 years of experience in public sector management, with experiencing emphasizing city finance and budgeting, community development, and land use planning and strategic planning. So with that one change, recommended.
Ask for a motion on resolution 2019-37 approving advertisement for city manager.
I'm sorry, Don, what was the change? Or is this, do I have an updated copy?
You have the updated,
Okay.
the incorrect one is in the pack.
That was close to what I make a motion to approve, resolution 2019-37.
Second. Roll call, please.
Walters,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarchet,
Yes.
DeVore,
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item under reports and particulars. I got several recognize every single one of you this week. When did we do library week? When was that?
second weekend.
Yeah, she beat you. So we'll go through these several proclamations we have, and it looks like other than Public Works and EMS, I guess you guys are on the same one. So we'll start with Police Week, and Police Week proclamation, reading the last paragraph as I do. Now, therefore, I, Jason Morse, Mayor of Polk City, Iowa, do hereby recognize the week of May 12th through the 18th of 2019 as National Police Week in Polk City, Iowa, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation, and I urge all citizens to recognize these officers' faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities. Thank you to your guys and staff. Next one would be, this one's a hard one, Public Works Week, May 19th through the 25th. Oh, this is an easy one. Oh, I'll read the other paragraph. Now, therefore, I, Jason Morris, Mayor of Polk City, Iowa, do hereby designate the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week in Polk City, Iowa, and I urge all citizens to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees by recognizing the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Thank you to you and your staff.
I will share that.
I appreciate that. And last but not least, EMS Week, May 19th through the 25th. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical services provided by designated Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, I, Jason Morse, Mayor of Polk City, Iowa, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Chief, thanks to you and your staff as well. Thank you. So we'll start down there. Anybody have anything for the good of the cause? Do you have anything?
Yeah,
Good.
remind the community that we'll be delivering pizzas from Papa's Pizza tomorrow night. So if you're interested in a delivery from Papa's, call in your order. While we deliver, we can check your smoke detector, take names of any individual homeowners that might want a smoke detector installed. Big night tomorrow night.
I'm hearing a lot of compliments on the photo that you
I saw that.
Oh my God, stop.
What?
It all points at you.
Couple good-looking firefighters.
Anything else?
Well, that's it.
I'm sure you have something you want to promote.
I'm so excited I'm going to stand up. I just wanted to let everybody know we had our second annual Polk City Police Officer Association fundraising gala Saturday night. And raised, that's got to thank my wife, so I was texting my phone, went over $15,000 clear money raised to the Association. And I want to fully recognize my wife. She starts the Plank Gala, does all things. She drives all over Central Iowa, gathering all the silent auction items and soliciting live auction items from donors clear up to the night of. She's had a couple other people step in last week because so hectic helping her get it put on, but it went off at a hitch. We had tons of compliments on it. I think we had one person here that was in attendance, and it just went really, really well. That money will be utilized to keep a little bit of funds in the association bank, go towards continue to support the K-9 unit, and then the rest of it will go to develop scholarships for North Polk students going on to the field of criminal justice. So we're going to the North Polk Foundation to do that going forward.
So I want to make sure I heard you right. So your wife does all the hard work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure I understood exactly
I'm sure everybody knows that.
Okay. Make sure that.
I really had very little to do with it.
All right. No, good job, man. That was awesome. So,
Nice work.
for you, Mike. Mike, you want to give them an update? I talked to you earlier, Bridge and Third, just kind of what they're doing in case anybody asks any questions.
Yeah, I didn't verify. So
Okay, but I think we'll say that's what it is, but I agree.
There was some conduit being drilled in this afternoon, I guess, and I believe it's for the lighting project, the street lighting project, but they're just in doing some preliminary work that they can get done, is what I believe is going on up there.
So we just,
It's just
work up there for the next little while.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, I talked to Justin Jackson from our office today, and it sounds like at this point they're looking at polls probably June 7th. You may be aware Belmont Polls is
Yes.
a polls provider, and they're out of Valley, Nebraska, and just right on the Platte River, and
And a little problem.
Yes, yes. So kind of had some delays there, but at least at this point, they're looking at a June 7th delivery date, estimated. It's not firm, which would probably mean sometime after July 4th would be the signals. The pre-pour for Kimberly's paving part of the project is scheduled for tomorrow morning. So weather permitting, they're going to start doing some trimming and paving on that project here pretty near future. Haven't had the pre-pour meeting, but we're guessing that they'll start paving on the far end and working their way back toward the intersection, so you're not going to see it immediately at the intersection, but
Okay.
it's at least, I mean, I thought I'd let you know because it's obviously been sitting there, no activity for a while.
And there's some restriping and stuff that all needs to take place as part of this too, right? I remember seeing something on that. So,
Yeah.
And that will all happen just at the same
Yeah,
time.
and some of it is on the city's side,
Yeah.
and then there is some pavement markings that will go in on the sides.
Kind of hectic while things are going on, but once it's all done, it'll be nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Dave, I'll start at your end.
Good.
This point. Anything for the bad? Just double checking. Maybe.
Nothing in particular, but congrats on a great event, and you and your staff, I think, make it for the city to rally behind the citizens. You guys have done a great job, and sounds like your wife does a heck of a job at the event. I'm sorry to have missed it again. Hopefully next year I can make it, but thank you and all your staff for all you do. The Papa's Pizza thing, I'm so sad we're going to miss it this year unless it rains, so I'm kind of hoping for rain. We have a softball game back, so that's why I didn't participate, but that's something my kids have looked forward to every year, so I really appreciate fire department and Papa's and everybody that's involved with that event. It's fun. Fun community event for a good cause.
Rob? Oh, Rob. I'll call Rob then.
A few things I wanted to say. I couldn't find it, but I don't remember seeing the cost of the, I call it junk day, but I do appreciate getting that this year. Maybe you've done it before and I've just missed it in the past, but thank you for putting that in there. I like I know people love that, but I also like making sure that everybody knows that it's not something that just happens. And so I appreciate putting that in there with the specific costs around.
Jenny helps with this too, and it was a team effort, but yes, so the number's right there.
Both of you, thank you. And thanks to Don at kind of going over with him last week on some budget things was enlightening. So I appreciate his time. I do want to follow up. So I think the last time we talked, the final property tax bill that the state was discussing hadn't been finalized.
That's true.
It was since voted on, and I just want to, so my frustrations are every bit the same that it was last time. It's just interesting that a group of legislators who get their money from sales tax and income tax are more than willing to take on property tax. But the final version, I don't think is any change for us, and nor did I have a problem with the theoretical 2% limit taking out growth. I don't think that's going to be an issue for us. It's just another step. So making sure that we have 2/3 vote on our budget in the event that we are over 2%, again, taking out growth is really the primary impact, right? As I read.
And it extended the time to have the budget submitted, right? Did this version submit the time?
We went.
Did you, end of March,
That's
right?
what I thought.
That's what I thought it was too. March 31, I thought was what I remember reading. Okay. Yeah.
Some of the more onerous parts of legislation were removed in
Mhm.
final passage.
Yeah, so a change in rhetoric only is probably the only thing that it did, so. I think that, I do have one thing for you, that you reminded me of me talking, so.
So I have to stay late.
No.
Anything for you?
Just one item, we did have a meeting with Kimberly this afternoon or this morning. We discussed the development agreement. Our attorney, bonding attorney, was there as well as their attorney, and I think we're going to be able to move ahead. Resolved a lot of issues that were kind of up in the air. So Kimberly has to go back, redo their numbers. They didn't break down their numbers in the past by phases, so they're going to do that. They'll get that information to their attorney. Kathleen will probably get you involved in the next step. But it looks very positive this meeting that we'll be able to get a new development agreement prepared next 3 to 4 weeks.
I appreciate everybody who's been involved in keeping the train on the track on this one. It's been unique, right? A couple quick things for me. Chief, thanks for hosting that retirement party for Tim Forey on the 28th. Appreciated the opportunity to come over and both say a couple words as mayor, but also as previous fire chief, and thanked him for his service. It was nice to see his family, and I don't know the last time you've had 5 fire chiefs in the same room, so that was kind of cool. It was kind of a cool thing. So I hadn't seen all those guys in a while. So anyway, no, that was good. I was in.
By a couple words, he means what, 20 minutes?
Oh, come on now. It was like 5. But, they gave Tim a nice axe and some other stuff, and it was appreciated. Well done on him again. Just well done on him. Time served. I was in D.C. last week for the annual partnership trip. One common theme that I learned, and I called him, was Don is a rock star. I didn't realize how much of a rock star until I started talking to some people, and I called him and told him that. Don is very well respected in Metro, and I wanted to publicly say that to you. It was nice to hear from some people about that. It was a quality hire on this part, and that it was going to be good for the city as we move forward to this next step. So I want to thank you for helping us with that. It was some nice compliments. When I called you, you said, "Well, wasn't in vain, was it?" No,
You didn't talk to Mark.
No, well, obviously, had I known that, I would have called him ahead of time. So anyway, thank you for that. Good, a couple days out there, and anyway, good trip. And lastly, Amy, welcome back. That I would take a motion on this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, real quick, we're adjourning until Tuesday, May 28th. Yeah, as a reminder, Tuesday due to the holiday. Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
So we'll plan what time on Saturday.
Probably sometime around 10.
Yeah, just figured we should probably show the house all week. Meet them right there, so I'm not running them in ours.
Yeah.
So that's the second time I've heard you.
Gerald's still nervous.
Yeah, you probably don't want to give them full reign of the house right away. They can acclimate.
I think we're gonna figure out a way to.
So do they still have